Namaste. Today is an auspicious day, 5th of September 2020, which is being observed as Teachers' Day, the birthday of our former President S. Radhakrishnan. So, giving due importance to all our teachers who make our lives like the rung of the ladder. They stay where they are, but make us climb up the life's ladder. Namaste to all teachers. Now we will go in for the third lesson, the gift of the Maggie. Just understand what the word Maggie does mean, because we have the word Maggie is a plural of the word magus. It means the kind of a gift that just born Jesus being given by the three kings, Caspar, Melchior and Balthazar. It's in the mythology where the three kings come from different places and being blessed by the infant Jesus, by giving them the gifts, and the same tradition being continued. And in this lesson, when observing the tradition of the giving gift, what happens, because sometimes what happens, we want to give a gift to a beloved person without informing, by the surprise, and at the same time we sacrifice some of the things, and the other person is in the waiting wings, giving us something of surprise. And what happens is this lesson. O. Henry, one of the finest writers, whose real name is William Sidney Porter, is a pen name, that O. Henry. Very funny stories are there. Many we used to read during our school days. That's the only thing that still I do have in my memories. So let us come to the lesson. $1.87. That's all. That was all. They are counting. Someone is counting the money for giving the gift. And 60 cents it was in pennies. And 60 cents it was in pennies. Pennies saved 1 and 2 at a time by bulldozing the grocer and vegetable man and the butcher until one's cheeks burned with silent imputation of parsimony. Parsimony means what we call, the meanings are given at the end, but what we should do is that we should keep the dictionary at our hand's reach whenever you read, because otherwise, बाद में देखेंगे, it never happens. So parsimony means what we say stingy, or in our local language is called as conjuicy. That such close dealing implied. At many places conjuicy करके पैसा जमा किया हुआ था. 3 times Della counted it. This is one of the characters. Della counted it, $1.87. And the next day would be Christmas. So this lady Della is thinking of giving a gift for the Maggie in the form of Maggie. Para 2, there was clearly nothing to do but flop down on the shabby little couch and howl. So Della did it. Just read the word couch. Couch is the place where we sit. The sofa we call it some in the local language. And coach is a C-O in place of C-O-A-C-H, then it becomes a person who coaches. One who gives a coaching is a coach, not a coacher. There is no word called coacher. Many people use it. Even the coaches who give the coaching is also called themselves coacher. God only forbids it. Couch and howl. So Della did it, which instigates the moral reflection of life is made up of sobs, sniffles and smiles, with sniffles predominating. What we say, she's a morally, sort of a imagination and what we call all sort of so what to do with the given money, available money, and what to think of within that giving, what to think of giving. Third para, while the mistress of the home is gradually subsiding from the first stage to the second, take a look at the home. A furnished flat at $8 per week. Most of the things in the Western world are being done a week. The wages are also paid at a week and like that. We do it monthly. It did not exactly beggar description, but it certainly had that word on the lookout for the Mendicancy Square. Mendicancy Square is also a group of sort of a begging, nothing else. Fourth one, in the vestibule. Vestibule means entrance. Vestibule. Below was a letter box into which no letter would go, and an electric button from which no mortal finger could coax a ring. A letter box which was meant to put in letter, but it was difficult to push in letter, maybe because of being unused, and a push button for a bell that no mortal finger could coax a ring. Coax means no mortal fingers, what we are the mortal people, could ring the bell. So it was this, maybe the switch is long gone but not repaired. Also appertaining thereunto was a card bearing the name plaque, that was Mr. James Dillingham Young. Fifth para, the Dillingham had been flung to the breeze during the former period of prosperity when its possessor was being paid $30 per week. There was a time when they were prosperous. Now when the income was shrunk to $20, though they were thinking seriously of contracting to a modest and unassuming D. According to the income, the reduced income, the way people have had to do in many cases due to corona effect, the shrinking income, we have to reduce our lifestyle also to that extent. That's what they were trying. He was trying. But whenever Mr. James Dillingham Young came home and reached his flat above, he was called Jim. That is the pet name by which he was called, and greatly hugged by Mrs. James Dillingham Young, already introduced to you as Della, the wife of this person whose money counting was started at the beginning, that is Della, which is all very good. She used to invite him into the house, the way she was used to invite, they have given. Some of the important sentences, I will just, the core sentences, heart of the lesson also I will mark later, I will inform you, there are some sentences. Sixth para, Della finished her cry and attended to her cheeks with the powder rag. She stood by the window and looked out dully at a grey cat walking a grey fence in a grey backyard. The description, the way the surrounding of the house is. Tomorrow would be the Christmas day, and she had only $1.87 with which to buy Jim a present. She had been saving every penny she could for months with this result. With all the pressure of saving, what she could garner was this saving, this amount. Only $1.87 to buy a present for Jim. Her Jim. Many a happy hour she had spent planning for something nice for him. Something fine and rare, sterling, something just little bit near to being worthy of the honor of being owned by him. She has this much little money, but she thinks of giving him something worthy of him to suit him, the kind of his status. Seventh para, there was a pier glass between windows of the room. Perhaps you have seen a pier glass in a $8 flat, that is the rent. A very thin and very agile person may, observing his reflection in a rapid sequence of longitudinal strips, obtain a fairly accurate conception of his looks. Della, being slender, had mastered the art. Just whenever there is a reflection, most of us, especially women, have the art of looking into the reflection and see how they look. It's a glass, but a sort of a reflection, we use it as a mirror. 8th para. Suddenly she whirled from the window and stood before the glass. Her eyes were shining brilliantly, but her face had lost its color within 20 seconds. Rapidly she pulled down her hair and let it fall to its full length. She opened up her hair and let it fall in a full length. That is the way she thought of giving something. She saw herself, her image in the glass, in the mirror-like reflection, and she thought of something else, and she thought of looking at her own hair by leaving it in full length. Now, there were two positions of the James Dillingham Youngs in which they both took mighty pride. One was Jim's gold watch that had been his father's and grandfather's inherited one. The other was Della's hair, because these are the key words. Just remember, these are the key sentences. He had the watch which he has inherited, which was very, what we say, having very good antique value, and she was having the hair which was God gifted, which she was putting on, enhanced her beauty. Had the Queen of Sheba lived in the flat across Airshaft, Della would have let her hair hang out of the window some day to dry, just to depreciate Her Majesty's jewels and gifts. That means, if the Queen of Sheba been at her looking distance, then she would have belittled her by showing her hair, because what she possessed was much more than what the queen would have. That is the way the writer describes this lady's positions. Had King Solomon been the janitor with all his treasures piled up in the basement, Jim would have pulled up his watch every time he passed, just to see him pluck at his beard from envy. What this Jim had, the way she had her hair, Jim had the watch, the antique, very valuable watch. It is more valuable than the king's, and he would have made him envy by showing him the watch every time he would pass on from before him. It's an imaginary thing. 10th para. So now Della's beautiful hair fell out, her rippling and shining like cascade of brown waters. It reached below her knee and made itself almost a garment for her. And then she did up again nervously and quickly. Once she faltered for a minute and stood still, while a tear or two splashed on the warm red carpet. She again had a look at the hair. It was like a spread over her body in such a way that it almost resembled a kind of a garment, and tears rolled down her eyes and were falling on the carpet. Why? You will learn in the further paras. 11th para. On went her old brown jacket, on went her old brown hat, with a whirl of skirts and with a brilliant sparkle still in her eyes. She fluttered out of the door and down the stairs to the street. She put, what is on went means, the author says she put on all her clothes to go out, and in a sudden thinking, that something that flashed her mind, she went out of the house. She walked on the street. 12th para. Where she stopped, the sign read, Madame Sofronie, hair goods of all kinds. Someone buying hair, human hair. It has value. It is being used for so many purposes, preparing wig to have a natural look. One flight up, Della ran and collected herself, panting. Madam, large, too white, chilly, hardly looked this Sofronie. She confronts the person who has put up buying hair and she talks. Will you buy my hair? Asked Della. 13th line, 13th para, only single line. 14.1, again a couple of lines. I buy hair, said Madam. Take your hat off and let's have a sight at the looks of it. She says, take off your hat and let us see how your hair looks. 15th, single line para. Down rippled the brown cascade. Her blonde hair were just like a flowing water. Just as she pulled out her hat, it just flew down. 16th para. $20, said Madam, lifting the mask with a practiced hand. Just she pushed her hand into the hair and just she was putting the quoting the price as $20. 17th para, just again single line. Give it to me quick. Della never bargains. She was in a hurry to put the budget for the gift that she was going to have for the Maggie. 18th one. Oh, and the next 2 hours tripped by on rosy wings. Forget the hashed metaphor. She was ransacking the stores for Jim's present. She had sold her hair. She has cut short her hair. That's what she had the tears, because the last looks she had of her hair in her own home, and she rushed to the stores to buy Jim a gift. 19th, she found it at last. It surely had been made for Jim. No one and no one else. There was no other like it in any of the stores, and she had turned all of them inside out. It was a platinum fob chain, simple, chaste in design, properly proclaiming its value by substance alone and not by meretricious ornamentation. Meretricious ornamentations. Meretricious ornamentations means as all good things should do. That means what the things that are already good should not have too much of bad presentation. Sometimes what happens, we have seen many times, even a good looking girl, when she's being prepared as a bride, the way these two words do, she's being put up, it spoils her the real beauty. So she says all good things should do, because they should stay as it is, proclaiming the inner beauty by itself, not by adding so many artificial things. It was even worthy of the watch. As soon as she saw, she compares to the watch. As soon as she saw it, she knew that it must be Jim's. It was like him. Quietness and value description applied to both. $21 they took from her for it, and she hurried home with 87 cents. $1 and 87 cents she had. $20 she got from selling the her hair, and now what remains was 87 cents after buying the gift. With that chain on his watch, Jim might be properly anxious about the time in any company. Grand as the watch was, he sometimes looked at it on the sly on account of the old leather strap that he used in place of a chain. The description of the watch, the way it was strapped by a leather in place of a leather strap in place of a chain. 20th para. When Della reached home, her intoxication gave way to little prudence and reason. Intoxication means we are what we say, nashe mein. She had the intoxication of, she was fully charged with what she was going to do, the happiness, the kind of surprise she was about to give. She got out of her curling irons and lighted the gas and went to work repairing the ravages made by generosity added to love, which is always a tremendous task. Dear friends, a mammoth task. Mammoth task means big task. Mammoth means in the past there were big elephants that were called mammoths. 21st para. Within 40 minutes, her head was covered with a tiny close-lying curls that made her look wonderfully like a truant schoolboy. Because of the cut hair, she had the look of a truant schoolboy. She looked at her reflection in the mirror long, carefully and critically. After cutting the hair, she had some different look. In a deep thought, she was looking at it. 22nd para. If Jim doesn't kill me, she said to herself, before he takes a second look at me, he will say, I look like a Coney Island chorus girl. The chorus girl were singing together in a group. But what could I do? Oh, what could I do with $1.87? Because she was afraid that Jim was also very proud of her hair, may kill her. Not really in the killing in the sense, she would get very furious, she says. But what she could do with the little money she had, so she had to sell her hair. 23rd para. At 7 o'clock, the coffee was made and the frying pan was on the back of the stove hot and ready to cook the chops. 24th para. Jim was never late. Della doubled the fob chain in her hand and sat on the corner of the table near the door that he always entered. She was waiting to receive him. Then she heard his steps on the stair away down on the first flight, and she turned white for just a moment. She had the habit of saying little silent prayers about the simplest everyday things, and now she whispered, please God, make him think I am still pretty. Because she was afraid to give him the first look after her beautiful hairs were being cut. She had no option, but she had lost the courage to face him. 25th para. The door opened and Jim stepped in and closed it. He closed it behind. He entered the house. He looked thin and very serious. He was also a little bit pale. Poor fellow. He was only 22 and to be burdened with a family. He needed a new overcoat and he was without gloves. Because in the cold countries, they need an overcoat. His overcoat was already worn out. And gloves also we need because of the chilling winds and snowfall. But he didn't have. 26th para. Jim stopped inside the door as immovable as a setter at the scent quail. His eyes were fixed upon Della and there was an expression in them and that she could not read, and it terrified her. When he saw for the first time after the hair being cut, he gave us some different kind of expression which Della couldn't face. It was not anger, nor surprise, nor disapproval, nor horror, nor any of the sentiments that she had been prepared for. What she was prepared for. This was something different. Galia dega, kuch bolega. No, everything was potent. What we say inside him, but nothing came out. So, he simply fixed that peculiar expression. He was stoic on the face. 27th para, just a single line. Della wriggled off the table and went to him. She pulled herself out and went to him. 28th para. Jim darling, she cried, don't look at me that way. I had my hair cut off and sold because I couldn't have lived through Christmas without giving you a present. This is important sentence number 1, 28th para. From my point of view, this is the gist of the lesson. There are two more such sentences. It will grow out again, but you grow out again. You won't mind, will you? I just had to do it. My hair grows awfully fast. See, Merry Christmas. She was trying to change his mood, and he said, Jim, let us be happy. You don't know what a beautiful, nice gift I have got for you. She tries to change the focus or the subject and wants to make him a pleasing person by telling him about the gift that she had for him. 29 para. You have cut off your hair? Asked Jim laboriously, as if he had not arrived at the patent fact yet after the hardest mental labor. He had the shock. It was unbelievable from him that she had cut her hair. 30th para. Cut it off and sold it, said Della. Don't you like me just as well anyhow? I am me without my hair, ain't I? She says, even without hair. Also, I am the same person. Don't you like me? She asked. 31st para. Again single line. Jim looked about the room curiously. She looked around curiously. 32nd para. Again a single line. You say your hair is gone, he said, with an air of almost idiocy. He was very much disturbed. 33rd para. You needn't look for it. It's sold. He was looking at the hair. Maybe it is cut and kept somewhere in the room itself. It's sold. I tell you, sold and gone too. It's Christmas, you boy. Be good to me, for it went for you, he says. Now coming on the page 36, one little print error is here. They have written? Maybe hair on my head were numbered. They have printed hairs. It never is hairs. It is hair. Hair itself is a plural thing. It's never furniture. Furniture itself is a collective noun. Furniture, table, chair, and so many things collectively called furniture. Hair on my head were numbered. Numbered in uske din gine gaye hai. That means it was about to go. She went on with sudden serious sweetness. But nobody could ever count on my love for you. I shall put the chops on, Jim. She says, hair must have gone. Nasib mein hi tha. But the love that I have for you is never to be seen anywhere. 34th para. Out of his trance. Trance means इसमें से ध्यान लगाने से बैठे ऐसे. What we say. Out of his trance, Jim seemed quickly to wake. He was almost shaken to conscience, what we call. He enfolded his Della. For 10 seconds, let us regard this with discreet scrutiny, some inconsequential object in the other direction. $8 a week for $1 million a year. What is the difference? What is the difference? A mathematician or a wit would give you the wrong answer. The Maggie brought valuable gifts, but that was not among them. This dark assertion will be illuminated later on. $8 a week. What the difference, they say. He says everything, when the hair is gone, everything is looking very inconsequential. कुछ फायदा ही नहीं है, कुछ कीमत की नहीं. He feels like that. Now, this is the second sentence I say, which is very important. Maggie brought valuable gifts, but what was not among them, this dark assertion will be eliminated later on. 35th one, para. Jim drew a package from his overcoat pocket, threw it open the table. 36th, don't make any mistake, Dell, he said. About me, I don't think there is anything in the way of a haircut or a shave or a shampoo that could make me like a girl any less. But if you will unwrap that package, you may see what you had me going a while at first. He also has a surprise and he says, just see what I have brought for you. 37th para, white fingers and nimble tore the string and paper. That means Della was opening up the package, and then an ecstatic scream of joy. Ecstatic means too happy when we are crying that. Then alas, a quick feminine change to hysterical tears and wails, necessitating the immediate employment of all comforting powers of the lord of the flat. Once she was overjoyed, then she was trying to control her own feelings. That is the way the author wants to say. 38. For there lay the combs, the set of combs. C-O-M-B is a comb, not, it is as if to be pronounced as C-O-O-M-B. Just remember, womb, tomb and comb have a single O but have to be pronounced with as if two O are there. Side by side, that Della had worshipped for long in a Broadway window. She was window shopping for the comb. She was liking it, very costly comb she could not buy. And Jim was knowing that he had brought the comb for her and she had cut her hair. In Konkani there is one saying, Chane ashiltan daat na, daat ashiltan na, chane na. Beautiful combs, pure tortoise shell with jeweled rims, just the shade to wear in the beautiful vanished hair. They were expensive combs. She knew, and her heart had simply craved and yearned over them without the least hope of possession. She was always window shopping, what we call. She was always looking at them. This I will never be able to buy. Still, I am just looking at it. मेरे नसीब में है ही नहीं, फिर भी मैं देख रही हूँ. And now, this is the third important sentence. There are totally 5 sentences. This is the third important sentence. And now, they were hers, but the tresses that should have adorned the coveted adornments were gone. Coveted adornment means the comb. The important comb would have brushed her hair. That hair locks are gone, but she is having the comb which she wanted to possess. 39th one, but she hugged them to her bosom, and at length she was able to look up with dim eyes and smile and say, my hair grows so fast, Jim. That means someday I will use your gift for which you have brought. 40th para with single sentence again. And then Della leaped up like a little singed cat and cried, oh, oh, in happiness. 41st para, Jim had not yet seen his beautiful present. He had not yet seen his beautiful present. He held out to him eagerly upon her open palm. The dull precious metal seemed to flash with a reflection of her bright and ardent spirit. 42nd para, isn't it dandy? Jim asked. I hunted all over the town to find it. You will have to look at the time 100 times a day now. Give me your watch. I want to see how it looks on it. That's beautiful chain to suit the watch she has brought. She is telling them, even if you don't want to look for the time, because of this chain you will look 100 times, she says. 43rd para, instead of obeying, Jim tumbled down on the couch and put his hands under the back of his head and smiled. He was hiding his hand. He was not showing the watch, and he just smiled, pushing himself on the couch. 44th para, Dell, said he, let us put our Christmas presents away and keep them a while. They are too nice to use just at present. I sold the watch to get the money to buy your combs. He has sold his watch and she had bought the chain for his watch, and he had sold the watch, his valuable watch, and bought the comb for her hair. And now suppose you put the chops on. 45th para, the Magi, as you know, were wise men. Is comparing the 3 kings who had come to gift infant Jesus. Wonderfully wise men who brought gift to the baby in the manger. They invented the art of giving Christmas presents. Being wise, Their gifts were no doubt wise ones, possibly bearing the privilege of exchange in case of duplication. So this is one of the near about last one important sentence. The fourth one I will just read at the end again. I have lamely related you to the uneventful chronicle of two foolish children in a flat who most unwisely sacrificed for each other the greatest treasures of their house. This is the last and fifth one important sentence, because for their individual love they sacrifice the best and the most valuable things for each other. But in a last word to the wise of these days, let it be said that all who give gifts, these two were the wisest. Of all who give and receive gifts, such as they were the wisest. Everyone, everywhere, they are wisest. They are the Maggie. The kind of love that we have together and the kind of love that explicitly comes out is the wisest, what he says. What they have lost is not pointed out. And here they have another important sentence that they have put in is possibly bearing the privilege of exchange in case of duplication. This happens many times. We give similar gifts, too many similar gifts. Here says possibly, because in case of duplication one can have the different gifts. That is the case. That is the main important aspect of this lesson, that in Sikh there is, because of Teachers' Day I am telling this, in Sikh there is one saying, I am telling the 5 important sentences. Just before that, in Sikh there is one saying, शिष्य तो ऐसा रहना चाहिए कि गुरु के लिए कुछ भी देने के लिए तैयार रहना चाहिए. The disciple or the student has to be in such a prepared mind that he should be able to give anything that the teacher asks. But it doesn't end there. The further it goes and says, गुरु भी ऐसा रहना चाहिए कि शिष्य से कुछ भी नहीं लेना चाहिए. So here the extremities have been pushed. Here also we see each one has his own style of love, and they have sacrificed the best thing that they thought for the purpose of their love. Once again, first important sentence is, I had my hair cut off and sold because I couldn't have lived through Christmas without giving you a present. The second one is, Maggie brought invaluable gift, but that was not among them. The dark assertion will be illuminated later on. The third one is, and now they were hers, but the tresses that should have adorned that coveted adornments were gone. The fourth one is, they are too nice, 44th para, too nice to use just at present. I sold the watch to get the money to buy your combs. And the last one is related, and I have lamely related to you an uneventful chronicle of two foolish children in a flat who are ready to sacrifice the things for each other. We have to sacrifice, we have to be prepared for the sacrifice, and the sacrifice, in that sacrifice, whatever we lose is our greatest gain. We don't lose, we always gain. Namaste.